If it's somebody in the east end of Hamilton, or if it's on Hamilton Mountain or Burlington, whether it's a $500,000 or it's $1,500,000, you have to treat the people the exact same. Yes, I've paid quite a bit of referral fee, but it's starting to come back because now the people that I worked with are referring me to other people, and that's free. It's all about building a business. You need to have your sphere of influence. You need to work well with these people so that they refer you out. When you're first beginning, yeah, you can go knock on doors for days, for weeks, for months, and I'm not going to do that.
Hi, my name is Maud Leger, and I'm on a mission to empower realtors with cutting-edge insights, success stories, and actionable strategies from the top minds in real estate. Welcome back to Sold Right Away. And in this episode series, we solve real estate marketing challenges in real time, unlocking modern marketing success for the real estate industry. And that's why today we've brought on Anthony Mason from Realty World Legacy. Anthony is here to share his story of resilience and hard work, and to share mentorship tips for all other realtors. Hi, Anthony. Thanks for joining us on the podcast episode today. Welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and how did you become a realtor?
Well, I appreciate you having me today, Maud. I've been looking forward to it. So I am an agent at Realty World Legacy in Burlington. We have been at this location for about 7 years, but we've just switched in the last year to a new brand. I've been full-time in the business for 3 years. I'm at license since, I think, 2018. Those first couple of years were more about me just parking my license somewhere. I was actually in construction at the time. I was doing project management, and then I was working with EXP, and I had a couple great mentors there. Shout out to George Travis and Tony Ning, and things were going really well. I found myself divided between being on tools and running around. I was actually putting down saws and drills to book appointments online and talk to clients. I remember it was April or May of 2021. It was a warm day, and I was in an attic. And you can't tell right now. I'm a little bit large to be going into people's attics. And I was installing a bathroom fan, and my electrician at the time said, "Oh, we were done about 3 that week." And he said, "Oh, when are we at the next one?" I said, "You know what? There's no more next one. I'm done." At that point, I'd had about 10, probably close to 10 deals on the books for that year. And I was in an unfortunate position. And I was just, we were done. So, and that was it. Couldn't balance them anymore. Since then, I moved to what was Davenport Realty and is now a Realty World Legacy with Victoria and Brenda, and things have been going well ever since.
And then what was a defining moment for you, other than when you had your 10 deals within the first half of the year, and then you took on real estate as a full-time? What was a defining moment for you as a full-time realtor that was going to be your thing?
I was also in the fortunate position to go full time. It's just to leave everything behind when the market was insane. So I think that my day one is September 1st of 2021. That's when I came here. By the new year of that year, probably around Christmas time, we had a really great Christmas, probably as a family, probably one of the best Christmases we've had in terms of, everything, because there was a lot of the stress was out of life. I mean, there's always stress when you're in this kind of a business, but I knew I could do it then with a pretty large GCI for a very short period of time. And when you compare it amongst your peers, I knew that I could do this, and it was something that I wanted to do.
That's amazing. It's good. It's like your family Christmas gives you the value that it was a good year and it was something you were going to take on forever.
Yeah. It was years before, especially during COVID, you were looking at that grocery bill or looking at stuff like, oh, should I be doing this? But I learned pretty quickly that if you work hard in this business, you can definitely benefit your family financially, but also you can buy back some of your time as well.
What would be one valuable lesson that you learn that you apply to your business?
If I could go all the way back to the beginning, I would have went to a smaller brokerage. I would have went somewhere where there was a more hands-on approach with a newer agent, and learned to build my business as a pyramid like this instead of as a pyramid like this, upside down. So building a stable base is something that I'm still trying to build while keeping the machine running. So if I had one thing to say to myself 3.5 years ago, say January 2021, would be to learn to build the base so that during times like the last 2 months, for example, where it's been a little bit dry, there'd be more of a system in place.
I love it. from your construction background to put a foundation onto your business as a realtor. And then what have you learned in the last couple of months, since things have been slow for pretty much all around the whole industry?
Well, I've learned just how important it is to make sure that you have people in different phases of the pipeline. And I've also learned that you have to be a little bit patient. Obviously, we don't have a crystal ball. I didn't know that April, May were going to be terrible months, but January and February were not. March was not. So everything that was 60 days out was pushed forward. So I'm not on as big of a roller coaster as I've been in the past in that situation.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I think, especially as junior and novice agents, you find yourself on that up down where you want to reward yourself for a good thing, and you should. You should always be able to give yourself a pat on the back, especially if you've kind of finally done a deal with a client who has been tough, or the deal itself has been tough. You should be able to pat yourself on the back, but you got to remember that you can't rest on your laurels for more than a couple of minutes, because there's too many of us out there looking for that business.
True. You mentioned something about mentorship from your first brokerage, but also how you would have joined in a smaller brokerage to get more support. What kind of personal growth have you benefited from so far?
So when I joined, I was with a larger national brand, and it was just, you're a monthly number. Nobody really was too concerned about anything. And then I was with an online brokerage, but the person who brought me in, it was easy for him to take me away because, all he had to do was be my buddy. Really, I had no ties to this other large brokerage, and we got along very well. And I was fortunate because he was there to teach me a few things. And then Tony Ning, I still talk to as well, he mentored me through a lot of things, and they both kind of fed me some stuff that was some scraps that were on the side of their plate. And I worked hard, and I got it done. And I learned how to write deals working with them. But then being here, it's a different type of mentorship with Brenda. Brenda's been in the business for over 20 years. So it's more of a, hey, Brenda, this is a scenario. What do you got for me? And even with Victoria, although she hasn't been in the business for 20 years, she's been with Brenda for 8 or 9, and she's been involved in most of those deals. So there's a couple other voices to break things off of, because I need it once in a while. You need somebody to say, hey, you get so focused on a deal or focused on the outcome, and you forget about any of the periphery, and just to bring that back in. So that's what I've gained here. And then of course, taking on the role of business development, I've been able to help some other agents as well, even if it's just as simple as kind of telling them, hey, listen, you want to do lead generation, you can't afford to do it. I know what your business looks like. You can't do it. Just go do it the hard way. Work on some free stuff, right up to business planning and helping them out with deals and stuff. So it's an opportunity to kind of really have one being mentored and then passing that along.
You get the mentorship and you're able to provide mentorship to other people too, because of your boutique realty.
Yeah, and that helps you grow as well.
What would be the key to your success as a realtor, now that you've been in business through the ups and downs?
My success is, I think I've found where my sweet spot is in terms of clientele, the people I like to work with, even right up to the price point. There's a certain price point that you get past. If you're not dealing with that on a regular basis, you probably shouldn't deal with it on any basis. So I think that my big success has been just to say yes. If a lead comes across, I say yes. I always give somebody a chance, because you never know where that's going to go. And I've said yes to more than my fair share of things that went nowhere. I've said yes to my fair share of things that went somewhere, and I wish I had said no. It wasn't worth the permission. But there's been some really rich experiences in there that if I was not open to certain things, I wouldn't have been able to have those clients. And a lot of the time I use a company called Redfin. They're pay to close, and they run an IDX. So they run a website, and people click and you connect with them. And people always say, well, isn't that expensive? It's a big referral fee. I said, yeah, but you know what? I'd rather have 75% of something than 100% of nothing.
Yes, that's a good point. With realtors and commission, right? You're right. That's the first initial thing, is taking away your part of your commission, but you're right.
Yeah. And I've been using that service for, I guess, 3.5 years now. And yes, I've paid quite a bit of referral fee, but it's starting to come back, because now the people that I worked with are referring me to other people, and there's That's free. There's no referral fee on that. It's all about building a business. You need to have your sphere of influence. You need to work well with these people so that they refer you out. And when you're first beginning, yeah, you can go knock on doors for days, for weeks, for months. And I'm not going to do that. I would rather pay for a referral that's warm than go knock on doors. That's what works for me. Even cold calling, I'd rather not. I have other things I'd rather do with my time. Yeah, say yes. Understand that part of something is better than all of nothing, and be grateful for what you do have.
I think that's a huge key right there, to understand that it might cost you money, but you'll make something. And long term, they might buy and sell again in 5 years. If you're nurturing them, if you kept in touch, you did a good job, they'll stick with you.
If you made a positive impact on their experience, you went that extra mile.
And I like a little bit too what you said with the type of people, the type of houses, the price point that you're targeting is what you're attracting, and that's what you're good at. So it's easy for you to do those transactions.
And it's also very important. I've found that regardless whether it's a buyer, if it's somebody in the east end of Hamilton, or if it's on Hamilton Mountain or Burlington, whether it's a $500,000 or it's $1.5 million, you have to treat the people the exact same. So it's always been my mantra. I'll go to a listing presentation and I bring my brochures, and it's usually of like one of the last one or two houses I've sold. So it could be $1 million house. It could be a $600,000 house. It doesn't matter. This is what I do. This is the package you get. All these things happen. You get the same level of service. It doesn't matter. And people appreciate that. And, when they see that what their house looks like in the listing, because we've done that, they're blown away. I can't even believe that's my house.
Yeah, they'll remember you and how you make them feel about their own house that they thought wasn't worth brochure quality.
People are people. They've entrusted you with a major transaction in their life, and they've said, okay, we're going to give you and whoever else you work with 4 to 6% of this transaction. I think it's up to us to work for it.
To work for it and make an impact.
Yeah.
What would be the one thing that must happen for you to be successful? Like your non-negotiable in your business?
Show up every day.
Show up every day.
If you're not going to show up, be intentional about it.
Wow.
You're either in or you're out. On days that I'm in, I was at the office at 8:00 this morning. Well, I've got some appointments, but like yesterday I was here at 10 to 8. I didn't leave till after 6. I was in. Today I'm in. Maybe if something comes up on the weekend, you know what? I'm out. It can wait, but I'm going to be intentional about being out. Or you go on vacation, I'm out.
You're out.
Show up. That's a non-negotiable.
Yeah, I like that. The intention with being also present, having a purpose of why you're there. And when you're not wishy-washy, like you're not in and out of your life as well.
Yeah. And if you find that the day is not going as you wanted to, and maybe there's no energy, or someone has taken more of your energy than you thought, and if I have no appointments, that's it. I'm not going to sit there and try and make phone calls that I don't want to make.
True. Because then your energy, people are going to feel it too.
Yeah. If it's feeling like it's a chore, like you have to do it, they're going to know that that's how you're feeling, no matter how good you are on the phone.
All right. Well, and also now in terms of marketing, what are you currently doing that's working really well?
So what's working really well is pulling in a lot of people right now is my rent to home stuff. So I found a niche there. It is a tough market, but it is going to be on the ground floor, and to be on the bloody cutting edge of it, I think will be beneficial as we move forward. I know that everybody's going, oh my gosh, they reduced interest rates today. But really and truly, you're talking about maybe another $10,000 of affordability for somebody. If they have the equivalent increase in down payment, then we know that if they continue on that trend, the price of houses is going to continue to go up, which means that this pressure on that buyer who is making, between 2 people or 3 people, $150,000 to $170,000, the pressure to save while they're still having to live their lives is going to be increasingly difficult, because that minimum down payment is going to keep growing, because the price of houses is going to keep growing. So the rent to home niche is something that I can talk to these people about and help alleviate a major roadblock for them.
Yeah. So it's helping people get onto the housing market faster because they're going to have a rental income with it.
Well, no, it's a rent to own program. So it's actually they're living in the house, they're renting it, and there's a buyout after 3 years. So, but everything's set day one. So they know what they're going to have to purchase a house for, what their down payment needs to be. So it's very easy to track the savings portion of it. Because if you talk to most people who are leasing right now, they've long forgot about the possibility of owning a house. If you say to them, did you think 5 years ago, do you think you would still be leasing? Well, they go, no, but I probably will be in 3 or 4 more years too, because I just can't save. This program allows people to get into a house that they want and buy it with a very transparent, mapped out approach to it. So that's something I've been successful with.
What's your number one marketing challenge?
My number one marketing challenge is I am very poorly versed with my CRM.
Okay.
So I am not good at building follow-up campaigns, effective ones. Anyways, I can sort of kind of build them, but they're not effective. And it is probably costing me money from my database.
Yeah. Is it that you're not effective because you're not doing a campaign, or is it because you're doing a campaign, but the campaign is not effective?
I think that it's both. I think that the campaigns that I am running are not the right campaign for the people, and which obviously means that I probably would be better off doing nothing. The answer is I don't know, right? I know that if I want to really scale to that next level, which for me would probably to bring on an admin and then probably a team member, I know that the campaigns, that side of thing, the follow-up, the automated follow-up needs to be there, and the systems to deal with that, to keep that fresh, to hand out, to deal with clients as they come in, like where to put them in terms of everything, that needs to be much more stable. And this goes back to our earlier discussion about the upside down pyramid. I'm trying, but I'm still very much in production.
So you're busy dealing with transactions, but building a business at the same time.
I've got my say yes to everything because I still very much need to say yes to everything because I have nobody to give it to.
Yes.
So some of the stuff I'm saying yes to is not getting nurtured enough. It's going by the wayside. So I'm getting 100% of nothing, where if I had the proper systems in place, I could be getting, maybe 25% of something as I'm handing it off to referral agents. Yeah. So that's a little bit of the messy part of my business that I struggle with.
I love it. Well, I love it. That you know it, that you're aware. Yeah, it's the truth. The problem with people sometimes is they're not aware of what their challenges or what their weaknesses are. If I think of your challenge here, the bricks by brick from your foundation, I guess, each item of your CRM is a different portion of it. So number one is the system, putting the people in, making sure they're entered properly. That's more of an admin perspective.
Right.
And that's something you as a business owner and a realtor, you probably don't have time, but you need to set it up right once, write it down, have someone take over that system. So that's the one part. Then the number two part is more of you. You're thinking about how you're going to create those campaigns, who you're targeting, who's your audience. Why are you reaching out? What's the purpose, right? If you think about, you're already clear on who is your target market from what you mentioned. You already know what kind of price point you're good at, what kind of people you want to attract in your business. So it's just to create those personas and write them down. Who are they? How do you talk to them? And then once you have that has to come from you, though. I wouldn't hire an assistant to create that because it's you. Who are you good at to deal with?
Yeah, that's definitely true. It's just that marketing portion is where I fail because I don't necessarily want to do it. It's not the part of the business that I enjoy.
Okay.
I do understand if I want to get off the hamster wheel, it has to happen.
You're aware of it. So you're like kind of more, I want to get out there. I want to talk to people. Yeah. I want to meet people, sell, connect, build, versus sitting down and putting some strategic plan together.
That's exactly what I am.
So you would need to know who's your target market. And then from there, how do you relate to these people? How do they relate to you? So you would have to, I don't know, even if you write down a couple examples and bouncing back to me, and then I can help you.
Yeah, and that's probably it. I do need help. And then
Yeah.
there's the more soft side of that. Yes, the help of, hey, this is what I'm targeting. This is how I need to speak to them, and then designing the campaign. And then the other side of that is having somebody, whether it's an admin or somebody off of Fiverr, to clean up the CRM and make sure to clean up the tags and all that sort of stuff. Because I do know that there's power there, and I definitely know there's money in a database. My mental hurdle is sitting down and doing it. When I would, if that phone rings, I'm like, screw up, gone.
The mentality of business owner, realtors, like entrepreneurs, we're all like busy getting attracted with the shiny things or the fun things we like to do, which I think, yeah, for you, it would just, even if you were just able to put some time, if you're more of a short period of time, do it 10 minutes here and there, write out one thing, look at it another day, time block your calendar with it. Don't overwhelm yourself either, because you're not going to do it. You're going to
No.
hate it. And then once you have just those key elements, then somebody else can actually build the campaign in your CRM, like that boring part or that
Yeah.
automation part. I think for you, it would be just to identify who it is, what is it, how purposeful can you be with your interactions with them instead of just sending them stats.
Yeah, I know that it's got to be more value than that. That I do know. Like I said, I have tried. I think that it's got to be cleaned up and targeted better, so that the right message is going to the right people. And understand that sometimes I also like laneways, so I know that sometimes there's going to be cross there because people will fit into multiple places. That gets messy for me, the logistics of that in the CRM as well.
Okay.
Because again, I'm not very good at it. Whenever I try, I hit a roadblock and something else shiny comes that I'd rather do and I'm gone.
I wonder if you could even start bit by bit, just starting with like a small chunk, saying, take your rent to own program. Anybody that's in your rent to own that's currently renting that will own, like take that and make a list. How do you talk to them every month or every 3 months to check in to see how they're doing and giving them their progress of how long before they own the house? And anybody who graduates, who finishes and owns the house, then how do you nurture them to continue being in touch with them for when they're ready to now buy or downsize?
I think that for me, it has to start out with, it might just be half an hour once a week.
It's better than nothing.
I started out with like the cold baths and stuff like that because everyone's doing it. It's supposed to be really good for you. When you first start out, it's like, oh my God, am I really going to do this? And you do it. In the first week, it's terrible. The second week is not so bad. And then by the time the first month is done, it's okay. You don't even think about it. You just do it. It becomes habitual. Like I've got my mornings on point from 4:30 to 8. I know what I'm doing. I really should be doing it in that window because that's when I'm the most disciplined.
In your time block, put the stuff you don't want to do when you're the most ready, on point, like you said, like part of your morning routine, even if it's 15 minutes. You're going to be way more productive in 15 minutes during that time than an hour at 11 a.m.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Time block it. And then the other point about time block is sometimes you have a time block, your alarm rings, it's time to do your CRM, and you're like, what do I do? Then you also have to have the first time block of your CRM. It's going to be write out what needs to happen. What do you need to do? Create your personas, identify who's who, write it out. Don't even go in the CRM at this point, just the thinking of it. The next week, you chunk at it.
I do write almost every day.
Okay.
Whether it's just, a journaling to-do list, maybe doing some coursework, like developing some stuff. And like the coursework might not actually go anywhere, but I think it's still an effective exercise to sit down and type out stuff. I'm doing stuff on online lead generation right now, which I know I'm not the greatest at it, but this probably will help. I know what should be done.
You know what needs to be done. I would say chunk every week, a little bite of it. And then you'll see at the end, you'll have way more done in the next 4 weeks than you would have if you just hope to do it.
Okay, so I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I got my time blocked behind me on the wall there.
Okay, love it. Yes.
We'll start with CRM work.
Yeah, you're planning on the first week, and the week after you start doing one bite at a time.
There you go. It's in the time block calendar.
It's in there. It's a commitment, and you have accountability now because now I know. So I'm gonna be, hey,
And I'm on camera. It was recorded.
love it. How does that feel?
I mean, it's one thing to do it, it's to write it down. It's it's another thing to do it. I'll talk to you Monday afternoon.
Yes, exactly. Amazing. Well, thank you for sharing that. This was a good exercise, and I think it's valuable for anyone, any realtor. Everybody's got the same problem in different circumstances.
I think that's one of the things we nobody's teaching this stuff right at the start, right? You now have all this time. You're now a full-time real estate agent. That means you have nobody checking in on you unless you're on a team. And even I've never been on a team, but I'm going to assume that most of them don't really do too much of that. You're on your own and you have 24 hours of you time to deal with your business. What are you going to do? Because if you don't have a plan, for sure, you will fail.
I love that.
And it's even more so when the market isn't hot.
It's so easy when it's boring, when there's nothing to do, when there's no business, to just not do anything. Versus it's supposed to be the opposite.
Yeah.
When there's nothing is when you crank up and do as much as possible.
That's when you get all these mundane tasks done.
Excellent. So in the podcast, we also have a rapid fire questions.
Oh no. Okay.
Some of it we've talked about. Are you ready for it?
All right. Can go.
What is your number one business process that you cannot live without?
My number one business process I cannot live without: show up every day.
What is your best marketing strategy?
Rent a home.
What is your best social media tactic?
But we didn't talk about that one. I use a company to do that.
Okay. And your most effective platform on social media?
I think it would be Instagram.
Your top income generating activity?
Saying yes.
Which is a non-income generating activity that every realtor should drop?
Playing on Canva.
How do you win more listings?
Just care about the people. Here's my line. I'm going to take care of you like I would take care of my own 80-year-old mother.
How do you leverage your listings?
I market them so that I get as many leads off of them as possible. I put them on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, everywhere you can possibly put it. I put it.
What is your key to building a strong network?
Saying yes to events. If you get invited to go to do something like a podcast, or you get invited to be in a mastermind, you know what? It's not always comfortable, but say yes.
What industry resources, books, or author that you lean to for your business?
I just in the last 6 months I've learned about Jeb Blount.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm reading. I just got Sales EQ. I read The Fanatical Prospector earlier this year.
Yeah.
I listened to his podcast, so I really like his stuff.
Nice.
That's who I listen to for my sales stuff.
What is a quote or a saying that keeps you motivated?
Treat every client like they're your only client.
Okay. And what's the best advice you've ever received?
Live your life purpose.
This kind of like goes along with, how do you define success for yourself?
I define my success for myself by serving people, not just my clients, serving people to the best of my ability.
Very cool. Love the integrity behind it too.
And I think one other thing I'd like to add before we sign off is that we all think of ourselves in a certain way. You are not your mind. You are not your thoughts. And this is something I learned 8 or 9 years ago. And every once in a while, I'll listen to a podcast or something where it will pop back up. You know, who's running the show? Is it you or is it your thoughts? If you can master what you think, you can master what you do, and you'll be successful not just in business, but in life.
Wow, I love it. This is such great advice. It's such a great way to live.
This is advice. This has been passed on. I didn't make up any of this stuff.
But it's a good mantra to keep in mind, and just to keep stop the little monkey on your shoulder telling you can't do it, or you're not good enough, or whatever it is.
I think that our heads would just rather we do nothing than do something.
Yeah.
And that's something we have to really understand with our clients too, right? They're all sitting there scared of doing something, where they know they need to do something, and there's some monkey on their back, or there's a roadblock that they put up themselves, keeping them from doing it. So not to get too cliche, but we are our own worst enemy in most scenarios. And as agents, we have to help remove that block for them. We have to be the bulldozer that comes and pushes that pile out of the way so that they can see the pleasure, not just the pain.
Thank you so much. Thanks for sharing all of that. It's so fascinating to hear you talk.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Where do we find you on Instagram?
You find me on Instagram at amrealty_RWL.
Thank you for your time today. This is so great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in to Sold Right Away. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcast. If you're ready to take your real estate career to the next level, visit us at Sold Right Away for more resources and support. Until next time, keep closing and keep growing.